If you've got your Bible, you can turn to John chapter 1, verse 15 through 18. And if you don't have it, we have it on the screen, so it'll be able to help you out in that way. I'm not really sure if the translation that is in the computer is the translation that I'm going to be reading from. I just thought about it right now when I'm looking across my notes and it says NIV. But we will see. It says, John testified concerning him. He cried out saying, "This is the one I spoke about when I said, he who comes after me has surpassed me because he was before me." How interesting is that? It's one of those statements that someone makes. You're kind of like, huh? Wait, what did you say? What did you say? And then you begin to kind of have to digest it. But in verse 16 it says, out of his fullness we have all received grace in place of grace already given. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth. There goes that combination of words, again, that we talked about last week. Remember the verse we read last week talked about grace and truth. And so we said that Jesus came with grace and truth. And we see these words used in a combination again in verse 17. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. Yeah. No one has ever seen God but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in closest relationship with the Father, has made him known. You know, one of the things that you always try to illustrate to people is the idea that, some people think that there are many ways to God. And a verse like this kind of confirms the fact that it's not many ways to God, but there is a way to God. Yeah. And really that way to God is by having the ultimate hookup, and that's Jesus. Amen. If someone is going to get to know me, I used to always tell, many of the young leaders that I was surrounded with in Virginia, one of the things I used to always constantly communicate to them too is that I don't care how you treat me, because how you treat me is not as important as how I see that you treat my kids. Because you can treat me one way because you know that if I please the person that's in charge, I'm going to get something. But when you go and you please my kids and you serve my kids, you watch over my kids, you protect my kids, you begin to do things for my kids, that all of a sudden you are positioning yourself in my life for me to want to do more in your life. Positioning, and I believe it's the same thing as our relationship with Jesus, is that a lot of times what we can do is we can get caught up in this idea of, well, I love Jesus, and Jesus is basically trying to communicate the same thing to us. Well, how do you love those around you? How do you love those who you see? Because that's an indication of how you're going to love those who you don't see, and we don't see him physically. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't go down to knocking on the neighbor's door and say, "Hey, Jesus, how you doing?" It just doesn't work that way. But how we can display the love of God, how we can display the love of Jesus, how we can display that our lives have been changed is how we love those whom we can see. How we treat our kids, how we communicate with our kids, how we communicate to our parents, what we say to our parents, how we say what we're going to say to our parents. And when we read a verse like this in verse 18, it says, no one has ever seen God but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in close relationship with him, has made him known. He has made him known because Jesus has come to do what? To bring what? What two things? Grace and truth. Grace and truth. Grace and truth. Grace and truth. Many times in our life we want grace, but we don't want the truth. We want grace. We want people to cover us. We want people to say sorry to us. We want people to forgive us. We want people, but we don't want the truth of the matter is that we need to bring change into our life. The truth of the matter is that we need to stop doing things in our life so that we can move forward, because we want to experience grace, but yet we don't want truth. But yet without truth we can't grow. Without truth we can't move forward. Without truth we can't get clarity about our life. Without truth we can't get purpose. Without truth we can't walk into the fullness of what God has for us. And I know as a group of people we want to do that, right? We want to walk in the fullness of what God has for us. We want to be the best parents. We want to be the best sons and daughters. We want to be the best brothers and sisters. We want to be the best. And the thing is that, yes, the truth might hurt, but the truth will push us to grow. The truth will push us to areas that will allow us, really at the end of the day, to become all that needs to become out of our lives. And if we just say, oh, well, I just want grace, I just want grace, I just want grace, God, give me your grace, God, give me your grace, it's not enough, because God came with grace and with truth. In Hebrews chapter 3, this is our second text that we're laying a foundation with what I just said, but as we continue in this, the next theme or the next verse comes from Hebrews chapter 3, verses 1 through 11, and this is where we're going to fix our thoughts and fix our minds up for the next 15 minutes. Let's see if we can do it in 15 minutes. Mike, you set me a timer. 15 minutes. Give me 15 minutes on the clock. The longer you go, it don't start till he says, listen, so I can say a whole bunch of stuff right now. It don't start till he says, give me the thumbs up. But Hebrews chapter 3, verse 1 through 11 says, therefore, my holy brother and sisters, who share in the heavenly calling. So in other words, what he's saying is, I'm talking to those that would label themselves as Christians. I'm talking to you guys who wear what do you call it? The bracelet, WWJD. What would Jesus do? You're the person that wears the I'm saved, t-shirt. You're the other ones that have bought and you have sold. You are buying into all the things that God has for you. He says, who share in the heavenly calling. I love that because it says that we have a heavenly calling, that there is something calling out to us, that there is something that is pushing us, there is something that is that we're going towards. It's like my kids. My kids say, Mom! They say, Dad! What are they doing? They're calling out for us. They're where they're at. They're not calling for them to come to me. They're not doing that. What they're doing is they have made a decision that I'm right here and I'm calling out and I'm not going to move and you need to come to me. And really, if you are a person who is called, it means that you're moving. It means that you are going to something. You are going in a particular direction. That you are moving. You're not waiting, but you're going. You're not just complacent, but you're going. You're not just in a place of I'm just here and I'm just existing, but I'm actually moving. I am going somewhere because I am answering the call that has gone out. I'm answering it. And really what the picture that you need to see is not only the picture of you going to your kids because they're calling out to you, you're responding to them, but we also need to understand that there was a calling that was out, like let's say when they needed to call the military together. See, today in the U.S. we have the very privilege and the honor that we have a voluntary military that people volunteer for. Okay, they volunteer, they get paid. Not only do they get paid, they get housed. There's different benefits of that. Very low salary in regards to living expense, but it's a good salary. They move up the ranks and all that stuff. But we have a military, and so when there's times of crisis, there's not a call for the men of the age or women of a certain age to go out and join the army because there's already an army that exists. But back in the day, when we founded this country, what happened is that there was a call that went out that we wanted liberty. There was a call that went out saying that, hey, we want change in our lives. We want change in our nation. There was a calling that went out during the Civil War we want to end slavery. There's a call that is going out. There's a call that's going out. Let's defend our homes. Let's defend our way of life. And what you have to understand that there is a calling on your life that is there. And it's not just a call for you to be complacent and sitting there, but it's a call for you to fight for your kids. It's a call for you to fight for your mind. It's a call for you to fight for the things that God has and wants to do in and through your life. And many of us, we think because I'm not picking up a sword that it doesn't count as me answering the call. Because I'm not on the stage, it doesn't count as me having a calling. But every single one of us is called. You are called to protect your kids. You are called to protect your wife, husbands, your mothers. You are called to protect the hearts and the minds of those that are inside of your home. You are called. You are called. You are called. And you have to live your life as though you are called.
Yes.
Live it as though you are called.
Yeah.
Not as though you are someone who's just wandering through life thinking, oh, well, I can do whatever with my life. It's my life. I can do it. No, you can't. You are called.
Yeah.
Because when you are called out from the bunch. Yeah. When you are called, you are responding to the voice of someone else. I do not show up to the needs of my kids wanting to give them what I want to give them. I show up with the equipment. I show up with the mindset to respond to the need in which they have.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my daughter will find any way to get out of doing what she's supposed to do. She will invent new ways. Like for me, I would just fake like the thing didn't work. My grandmother would come over and she'd be like, no, it works. Let me show you how it works. And 20 minutes later, she would be done vacuuming. You know, that's just how it worked. We all knew that in the house because we knew that she just would grab control and she just would, you know what I'm saying? And so my daughter is like the person that she kind of feels like if I get hurt, I don't have to finish. So she's vacuuming, and, you know, she kind of has a way of, like, you know, doing stuff that's less awkward. It's just awkward. It's just like, it's weird and it's awkward. And the vacuum is sitting there. We all know, you know, you take out the holes of the vacuum. Well, since, you know, she's trying to vacuum the corners, you know, she's trying to do a good job because I told her you need to get all the corners, whatever. So, you know, instead of, like, being like a normal person and, like, holding the vacuum and, you know, going like this, she wants to lay down on the floor and vacuum. And so we all know what happens. You know, you pull the cord a little to her, and it falls right on her. It falls right on her back. And she hears, and we know by the cry that it was nothing serious. Right. But we knew that it was like something like, okay, what's going on? What is happening right now, okay? And so what happened is that the vacuum had fallen on her back, and she was like, oh, my back hurts. Oh, my back hurts. Right? And I'm kind of like seeing her because there's no tears, okay? So don't be like, oh, he's heartless. He's evil. He's heartless. He has no heart. But it's like, you know, you evaluate the scene of what's happening for your kids. You evaluate, right? And so I walk up to the scene, and I see that she's not really hurt. Maybe a little bit because, you know, the vacuum falling on her maybe hurt her a little bit. But she can get up. She can walk. She can move. She can, you know, she's still an able-bodied person, okay? She's still. And so she goes, the thing fell on me. I said, well, sweetie, you need to get up. You need to find a different way of actually vacuuming. You know what? She goes, okay, Dad, I will. I go to the room. Next you know, I hear, oh, again. The vacuum fell on her a second time. So I walk over there. I'm like, hey, little girl, grace and truth. I'm not going to yell at you, so there goes your grace. But the truth of the matter is, you need to keep doing this until you're done. And if this tool's not working, go get the other vacuum downstairs. But this stuff, all this starting on as I say, roll up the cord, put this one to the side, and go get the other vacuum. She went to go get the other vacuum, and she finished vacuuming the hallway. But the point is that she had a call, and it was my job to show up on the scene and supply exactly what was needed. And what was needed was grace and truth. Grace and truth. Grace and truth. When we answer the call of God, we need to make sure that we show up on the scene with grace and truth. Grace and truth. The grace is you didn't do as well on that assignment that you needed to do. The truth is you have just lost your phone. Grace on a situation says, yes, you just messed up again. Yes, you have just did the thing that you told God you would not do ever again. And God is saying, it's okay. It's going to be all right. It's going to work out. But the truth of the matter is, you've got to remove some things out of your life. You got to delete some people out of your phone. You've got to make a choice to say, I'm throwing some things away. I'm going to the extreme because I can't handle living a moderate life. See, the problem with many of us is that we're scared of the extreme when God is calling us to the extreme just so he can bring us back to the middle. See, you've got to get to a place in your life where you say, I've got to deal with this in an extreme way because I've tried making the small steps. I've tried, doing this and doing that, and I've tried, and what I always end up doing is end up being back here. But the truth of the matter is, you just need to be extreme. Right. Because at least if you slide back, where are you sliding back? Not where you were.
Right. Come on.
You're not where you were. And so you've got to make these things calling it big. Why? Because you have a calling that is on your life. Because you have, and that has really little to do with where I'm going with this, but it gets us started on the process. And this is what I want to talk about today. Is in verse 3, he says, fix your thoughts on Jesus. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about 6 things that this Hebrews tells us in chapter 3 about fixing our thoughts on Jesus, what Jesus means. The first thing that it means that you're being faithful. In Hebrews chapter 3, verse 2, he says, he was faithful, referring to Jesus. That if Jesus was faithful, we've got to learn to be faithful. Yeah. Faithful to what? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Faithful to God, faithful to life, and faithful to people. Faithful to God, faithful to our own lives, and faithful to people. And you might be thinking, what do those have to do with each other? When you are not faithful to God, you cannot be faithful to yourself. When you are not faithful to yourself, you cannot be faithful to God. When you cannot be faithful to yourself, you can't be faithful to other people because all you're going to do is be fake. You're going to be fake. You're going to put on a mask and you're going to be like, oh, well, everything's cool, everything's awesome, everything's amazing. God can do it, can he? Can he? But at home, you're dying. At home, you're under major pressure. At home, your life is falling apart, but you're still trying to be faithful to God. You're still trying to be faithful to other people, but you can't do either one. You can't be faithful to God when you're being fake to yourself. Because God wants honesty with us. And the only way that you can truly be faithful is by being honest with God. God, I'm struggling in this area. Be faithful with yourself. Hey, self, you need to stop. Hey, self, you need to stop going there. Hey, self, you need to stop making that decision. Hey, self, you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to stop. You need to stop. And you need to be faithful to others and say, hey, you need to come help me do this. Yeah. You need to come help me stay the way that I need to be for my life. Yeah. You know, in my life, one of the things that I told my wife this week, because I'm talking about this being faithful to other people type of thing and being faithful to your own life, is that this week I told my wife, I said, well, I know you go to counseling, but can you sign me up for counseling next year so we can kind of work some, not necessarily things out between us, but so that I can try to, stay right and be the way I want to be. And she goes, yeah, sure. We'll work on the first of the year. We'll get everything going. See, you cannot be in a place of, I'm going to be the best I can for the people around me and yet not do any work on yourself. You cannot be all that God is calling you to be and yet not take self-time to reflect on where you're at, what you're doing, how you're moving forward, and what you're going to do. So be faithful. There's so much more I can say about this, but let's go to point 2. Point 2 says being a builder. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 3 through 4, just as the builder of a house has greater honor than the house itself. For every house is built by somebody, but God is the builder of everything. My question to you is are you a builder? Because if you're not, you need to become a builder. Yes. A builder of what? Builder of a healthy home. Let's start there. Start at your home and make it healthy. Yep. Another thing is that the next step, build your church. How are you building the church? How are you building the church? How are you building the church this on Sunday morning? How are you building this? And the idea is that not just showing up to eat, but saying, hey, I'm going to take part in what I'm doing. Because you need to learn how to become a builder. You need to learn how to take something that is nothing and make it into something. So many people just want to show up on the scene when everything's already done. But yet, that's not what God is calling us to do. And some people are like, well, I don't have that spirit on my life. I'm not an entrepreneur. Well, God is calling us to be entrepreneurs. God is calling us to be planters. God is calling us to be those that spread out seeds. That's why in the Bible, he always talks about farms, farming. I'm not a farmer. Yes, you are now once you're a Christian, because you're following after the example of Jesus, who was a builder of people's lives. He took 12 and he did his work. He did 12 and he did his work. He didn't take 120. He took 12 and did the work. And then the work spread out to other people. What work do you need to be working on? And it's not just building your family, but it's about building the people that are around you. So the question is, what are you building? What are you using to build? And are you allowing God to build you? Number 3. I know this is a lot. I know I'm throwing out a lot, and I'm so sorry. I had a pastor friend who told me, he goes, you give people too much, and I don't think they really understand what you're saying. And so what I'm going to just throw this stuff at you guys, and then we're going to unpack this probably over the next 2 or 3 months. But because it all ties in together. It's really very, very interesting. Number 3, it says, hold on. How many of you guys ride on a roller coaster and you are the person that's like, I don't trust this thing that is just gone down? I know I heard it lock, but I don't trust it. And one of the reasons why I don't like riding roller coasters, it's not because of all the jerking and all the whatever stuff, that kind of gets on my nerve or whatever. It's the fact that if we go upside down and this thing open, am I strong enough to hold my own weight? And I know the answer is no. You hear that, Mike? I know the answer is no. Okay, I know that it's upside down for like, Joe, maybe 2 seconds? Maybe, but maybe turn around and kind of, I just know. If I've got to pull myself up, that's all that goes through my mind. Because maybe I've watched Cliffhanger a little bit too much. I don't know what it is, but for me, it's just like, if I had to hold on with everything, could I pull myself up? Could I hold on to something long enough? And I know the answer is no, and because I know the answer is no, it freaks with my mind. But I'm the type of person that I ride roller coasters and I hear the thing lock, but I also want to hold on. Like, I want a good grip. Like, I want to have my feet all like this. Like, I'm trying to hold on with my thighs, like that's actually really going to hold, like all this weight is going to be hauled by this thigh. No, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work, Shantae. But I'm like, I want to be holding on, and the thing is that it brings a lot of security to me when I hold on. And in Hebrews chapter 3, this is what it says. It says, hold firmly to our confidence and the hope. See, I love the fact that he says it's our confidence. See, because some of you guys are trying to do it on your own, and you think that's the way that God has built you, but God has not built you to be alone. God has built you to be in community. And so your failure isn't just your failure. Your failure is our failure. Do you get that? Do you really, really get that? Do you get the fact that his failure to become all that God wants him to become isn't his parents' failure alone, it's our failure. The other day we had a conversation in youth, and he has aspirations. He wants to go play MLB, right? Great aspirations, okay? He wants to play professional baseball. And one of the things that we talked last week was about silence, being silent. And I talked about sharing our faith. I talked about us just being louder. He said, you know what? I need to work on being louder. I need to work on, in class, raising my hand and communicating things, because it's not just me communicating things because most of us don't say stuff because we don't have a clue what's really going on. Like, we just I don't want to sound stupid. He's smart and not saying nothing, not because he doesn't have the information, but because he just doesn't want to talk. Fear of, and this is what I said to him. I said, that is your stage right now to communicate that stuff, because if you can't communicate to that class, how are you going to communicate to people when they interview you? Ding, 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 ding went off in his head. You could tell that he went, oh my goodness. I mean, was that revolutionary for you or what? And he was like, you're right. How can I not speak on this stage, but yet I'm trying to be on that stage? And you have to understand, I can't teach him how to throw a ball. I can't teach him how to hit the ball better. I sure enough can't teach him how to run around the bases faster. But what I can teach him is how to communicate. Yeah. And the thing is, his failure isn't just his failure, but his failure is our failure. If we refuse to take him to the place that he needs to be, so that when that new door, that new opportunity comes, that he's scared to do it, then that is not his failure, but that is our failure. Our confidence, our faith, the confidence in what we can do together.
Yes.
What can we do together? This is something that belongs to all of us who are believers, and it takes all of us to fulfill it. It takes all of us. What part do I have to play, Pastor? Just keep showing up and having a smile.
Amen.
Yeah, well, Pastor, well, I just don't know. I just keep showing up and keep having a smile. Number 4 is being soft. The verse says, harden your heart to make yourself. It talks about hardening your heart. It says, don't harden your heart. And let me just tell you what hardening the heart is. Hardening your heart is to make yourself stop feeling kind or friendly towards someone. Yeah. You've gotten too hard, and you've got to harden your heart and tell him to leave controlling emotion. See, the thing is that yes, it's cool to guard your heart, but it's not. We're not supposed to harden our heart. I guard my heart, but I don't harden my heart. Because a hardened heart says, no, I got to keep you away. No, I don't want to tell you that. No, I'm going to still keep failing and still keep being the person I want to be. No, get out. No, get out. But a person who is controlling their heart, controlling their mind, says, I need you, and I need you now. I need you, and I need you now. I don't got to give you all the details, but let me tell you, I need prayer in this moment. Yes. I need someone to hold my hand. No, it's kind of rough, man. I don't hold no hands neither. Well, then we got to hold hands, okay? Yeah, I need someone to grab my hand. I need someone to pull on me a little bit. Yes. I need somebody just to, guide me. I need someone just to direct me. I need someone just to kind of keep me from straying off. Libby, come up here. Hurry up, run. There are times where, and all you parents know, you're at the mall, and you know that there's a time where you just need to grab your kid's hand because there's a crowd that is coming. There are people all around, and what do your kids do? What do kids do? They see something, start walking that way, and they start walking, and you're like, what are you doing? But Dad, do you see it over there? And they've already in their mind have decided to go before even communicating where they need to go. And many of us are like children. We are shifting our eyes and are drawn away by the things of the world. And we think, oh, well, that's cool. So we start walking. And no, see, a good friend says, nah, that ain't right for you. You keep walking through the mall some more. So act like you're going over there. Oh, but I like that dress. Nah, girl, that's too short for you. Come on, you keep walking. You see something over there. You go, oh, no, that Negro ain't right for you. I'll tell you that right now. He can't even pick up his pants and wear a belt. You keep walking, and you keep walking. And see, when you are attached to something, when you are attached to the right people and you remain soft, see, now a hard-headed kid, you know what they do? Keep walking. Now pull away from me. Try to pull away from me. That's what a hard-headed kid does. We all know. And if you ain't got one yet, you're eventually going to get one. They pull. They start jerking. They start whatever. But you know what a good friend does? A good friend says, hey, Truth, stop it now or you're going to get lit up.
That's right. Chancellor.
That's what a good friend says.
Yes.
That's what a good parent says.
Yes.
That's what a good, whoever in your life says is they say, nuh-uh, not today, baby. That ain't gonna happen. You want to go to a bathroom? Some of y'all don't even know what that means. I don't over there. You're like,
Oh, we know.
she got to go over here.
Oh.
She gotta go over here.
Oh,
For y'all that laughing, y'all like, y'all been to a bathroom before. Or even the worst one. This is even the worst one. When you get home, you gonna get it. Oh no! When I get home, no, and they're trying to add more stuff for you to go to, more shops and all that stuff, so you'll eventually forget. That was my trick right there. We can go to Macy's. We need to go downtown for something. We need to go to San Francisco to go shopping or something. I was doing something. They would just forget. They would forget. When you be like, yes, I made it through. Because you're not gonna get 24 hours later. Just whatever. Okay, so let's go. Get off the stage. Get out of here. So the other thing is, excuse me, is controlling of your emotions should never lead us to a place where we stop feeling. Stop feeling the love of God. Stop feeling the love of life. Stop feeling the love of people. Number 5 is liking tests. Ooh. Did you just say that I should like the tests that are in my life? Yes, because in Hebrews chapter 3, that's what he says. The author says this. What does he say? He goes, holding firmly to the confidence. He goes, do not harden your hearts during the time of testing and in the wilderness, as you did in the rebellion during the time of testing in the wilderness. So there was a time of testing that will happen in your life. We don't like them, but they are necessary. While finding defects and bugs is one of the purpose of testing, it is not the sole purpose. It is important when we're talking about software, when they test software. Check this out. It is important for software testing to verify and validate that the product meets the stated requirements and specs. You want to know if you really are ready for that house? Let God test you. You really want to know if you're ready for that blessing that you're praying for? Let God test you. If you really want to know if you're really willing and ready to go to that next level in regards to athletics, in regards to your schooling, in regards to where God wants to take you, in regards to your career, then you need to allow God to test you. Because if you can't pass the test right now, you are not going to pass the test at the next level. If you can't say no to temptation right now when your world is only 2x4 because you're inside of not a cell, but you're inside your dorm room, you will not be able to say no when you are in the heart of the belly. When you are inside of a major city, you have blessings, God is promoting you, God is doing all these things, you will eventually fall into the same situation because your giftings have taken you somewhere that your character can't keep you.
So good. Yeah.
Well, I can't have that conversation yet. We'll wait a couple years. Okay, number 6. No rest is the next. See, I love this because the very last thing, and I didn't read it, so you need to go back and read it on your own, but verse 11, the last thing says this. The next is what it said, they shall never enter my rest. Like God had gotten so mad at some people that he said, and what this is that we are reading Psalms chapter 95, or Psalms chapter 95 is being quoted in Hebrews chapter 3. And what's happening is that they are making a connection between, the author is between the Israelites in the wilderness to where they were at this time that Hebrews was being written. And the very last words as he's talking about trying to encourage this church, trying to encourage these Hebrews to keep living, to keep being confident, to keep holding on, to understand the power of the test. He says no rest is the next. Is my point, is that what he's trying to get them to see is that you won't enter into your next. You won't enter into your next, and the next is rest. The next is rest. But you won't enter into that if you don't get all the other things right. You know, kids hate napping. How many of you guys have kids that hate napping? How many of you yourself hate napping? You have kids that hate napping, James? Oh, okay, all right. I'm trying to see what you're raising your hand for. Because, I'm trying to work it out here, you know what I'm saying? You better have no kids that don't hate napping. But like my daughter every day after school, Dad. Yes, sweetie. Can I go today without taking a nap? Are you gonna have a good attitude? Dad. I'm big. I don't need a nap. I said, but are you going to have a good attitude? Yeah. Dad, it's going to be okay. So I say, okay, cool. It's fine. You don't have to take a nap. Y'all know where this is going. Around 4 o'clock-ish, someone just starts crying a little bit too much. about everything. And it's never her, it's her sisters. But Dad, you know, it just starts going crazy. And I'm like, go to your room. I don't want to go to my room. Go to your room right now. Because I'm showing you grace right now. And you stay up there until you can talk to me like the way you're supposed to talk to me as me being your dad. Goes up to the room. Dad! Dad! Can I come down now? Come on, are you ready to talk to me? Yes! Come on, Dad. And I'm like, no, go back upstairs. Go lay on your bed. And when you're ready to talk to me, we're going to talk. 20 minutes goes by. It's silent. My middle one, the one that came up on stage, comes downstairs and she goes, Dad, she fell asleep. 2 hours go by. So now you know that was a good nap right there. She wakes up. Wakes up with a smile on her face. She goes, Dad, I'm hungry. I said, girl, let's get you something to eat. She sits there, she eats her food, and her whole perspective on life changed because her next was rest. And many of us, what we're trying to do is we're trying to fight with God. I need this, I need that, I've got to make this thing happen. I've got to do that, I've got to do that. And God's next for us is rest. See, because and I need to really do a good job of making this connection. I'm going to say this, is that the connection of this verse speaks to the people in the wilderness, those that were being tested going into the promised land. And we need to make a clear distinction. The promised land isn't salvation. The promised land isn't, we're going to get more and we're going to, we're going to accomplish more and we're going to do this. No, the next is a place of rest. The promised land was a representation of a place of rest, a place where they would stop having to battle for the things that needed to be battled for. It was a place where it was something where it was theirs. Yeah. See, and when something belongs to you, you don't have to fight to obtain it because it already belongs to you. Right. Now, you might have to fight to stay there, right, but you won't have to fight to obtain it because it already belongs to you. It's like someone giving me money and then me trying to take it. Now, I take it and then I'm trying to fight them for it. No, it doesn't work like that. Once it's yours, it is yours. But there should be a place of rest inside of that moment. So when you buy a new house, it should be a place of rest. It shouldn't be a place of, I'm warring with this place. Oh, I'm got to hold on. I have to make. When you get a new car, it shouldn't be you trying to war with the car. I got to kick it twice to make it work. I got to go, boom. Yeah, here we go. Let's go. Let's make this thing happen. Oh, it's awesome and it's amazing. No. When it's a place of rest, it's a place of rest. It says, into the land of Canaan called God's rest because he promised it and gave it to the Israelites as their rest. Where he himself had a place of rest and where he gave the Messiah, the author of peace and rest, and which was a type of heaven, the rest from toil and labor which remains in the people of God, and into which it is said this, generation did not enter, for the Jews say, the generation of the wilderness had no part in the world to come. The reason they had no part, the reason why they could not come into a place of rest is because they didn't get the other 5 things right. They wouldn't trust in God. Wow. They said, I can do this, I'm going to make it happen. I don't believe in the whole idea of baby Jesus. A baby can't do it for me. They can't do it. No, Jesus can do it for you. Right. It says, but this seems too harsh for the doubtless. There are many who died in the wilderness. What went safe to heaven, notwithstanding all their sins and provocations. So one of the things that I'm trying to say in this moment is this. You can go to heaven without doing these 5 things. but you will never enter into rest. You will always be struggling. You will always be fighting. You will always be in a place of, oh my goodness, my life is never coming together. When am I going to find a man? When am I going to do this? When am I going to get the right job? When am I going to do that? How am I going to do all this? How am I, and it becomes all negative. Nobody wants to be around negative Nancy. Nobody. But a person who enters rest says, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
But I'm also thankful for all these things that I do have. I'm not focused on what I don't have, because look at what I have.
Amen.
Look at the kids that I have.
Amen.
Look at the people that I have around me. Look at as I talk about this whole idea again, about I'm in love with life. I'm in love with God. And I'm in love with other people. Now my life is rich with other things besides. Maybe I don't have all the possessions. But the problem is in the U.S., most of us have a lot of possessions. We just don't know the possessions that we have.
Amen.
But when you're in a place and you say, you know what, this test, I'm going to pass it. When you're in a place and you say, I'm going to remain soft, but I'm going to be a soft bully. I'm going to be a soft, but I'm still going to be a dog, because I'm going to fight for what's mine.
Amen.
When you're someone that says, I'm going to hold on with everything, even though it's riding in his roller coaster, I'm holding on to God. He's my hope. He's my center. And I remain in the attitude of I'm building, 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 I'm building. Why am I keep saying that? Because you never get to a place where you stop building.
Right.
Very recently, I was in a conversation with a pastor and their church plant, and they're younger than we are, but they have like thousands more people than we do. So it's like, and this is what he said. He said to me, he goes, do you ever get to a place where you stop and you relax? And I'm thinking to myself, you don't understand the game. You don't understand. No, you don't. You are always on edge. You are always going to the next thing. You are always building. Because a builder says, I'm going to keep building. I'm going to keep building. I'm going to keep building. I'm going to keep moving. But I'm not going to let it stress me out. But I understand my role.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to let it become the thing that I said. Because what's it say? It said the builder is greater. Is that what it says? It says something like that. Let's read it. Okay. A builder of the house in greater honor than the house itself.
Yeah.
For every house is built by someone. But God is the builder of everything. See, many of us have gotten to a place where we have fallen in love with the house. And the house is not the thing we need to fall in love with. We need to fall in love with the builder of the house.
Yeah.
Because the builder of the house is the one who put together the plans. The builder of the house is the one who slept late at night, knew and put them in when everybody else was asleep, when everyone else was trying to do anything. They're trying to figure out how are we going to get wood from Oregon? How are we going to get the right workers from down south? How are we going to get the right textures coming over from Italy? See, the builder understands the details where the house is just a thing that it just exists. See, the house is just a house, but a house needs to become a home, but it only can become a home based on what the builder provides there, because a house without the right things is just a building. See, and what we've got to do is we've got to be the people that says, I'm building, I'm building, I'm building, I'm building, because I'm in love with the builder. And the last thing, which was the first thing, is being faithful. Yeah. Learning the lesson of just being faithful. Faithful in the small, faithful in the big, faithful in the medium-sized things in life. Right now, you know what my role consists of being faithful in? Is getting my kids to school on time. And you're like, well, that's so minute, that's so whatever, that's whatever. That's just, you handle your little bitty things and let me handle mine. Why? You know what? Be quiet. Because if you can't see the faithfulness in that, you're probably the same person that shows up to late work all the time. See, because God cannot bless you if you don't handle the now. The now. The now. Because the now prepares you for the next.
Yes.
So I've got to be faithful with getting my kids up. Faithful with getting myself up at the right time so they can have breakfast in the morning. Faithful with the small things. Young people, faithful with your homework. Not only doing your homework, but making sure your homework makes it to your backpack so it can make it to school, and making sure that it gets out of your backpack and is handed to your teachers. Faithfulness. Young people, you think, oh, I just, it doesn't matter what I do, how I do. No, no, no. Your grades count. Faithfulness. 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 Be faithful with the things that God has in your hand. Let's pray.